Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and welcome to another episode of the Spare Time Property Investor podcast. As you can see, this is a video. This is the first one I'm videoing. I thought I'd best come back my game a little bit. So hopefully it looks okay and it sounds okay. So this week I'm interviewing Tina and Richard from the Star Property Group, a couple of really experienced investors and business people, and their brother and sister. So they speak about that a little bit, and they also talk about their experiences and tips and tricks for you to benefit from. So hopefully you enjoy the episode. Hopefully you don't mind looking at my ugly mug, and you enjoy it and you get something from it. So without wanting to waste any more time, here is the interview with Tina and Richard. So thanks again, guys, for coming on to the podcast. First off, it would be great to hear about the businesses that you run, what your normal week looks like, and how you manage to fit property investment around your busy lives.
Okay, I'll let you start with that one, Rich.
So we have a motor trade business, which is car sales and service and repair, MOTs of vehicles, which we have had for 30 years, which I've been here since then. Tina joined about 4 years after.
Yeah.
So we've worked together for 25 years practically, as brother and sister, which is, I don't know who deserves the medal. One of us deserves it. So that's been our kind of mainframe business since then. Our parents were builders, and they had a building company.
Yeah.
As we were growing up, so we kind of had an interest in property.
Yeah.
From then, and I spent a lot of school holidays and stuff on building sites and all that kind of thing.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
So, involved in that.
So it's properties are kind of in our blood a little bit, I think.
Yeah. We had many a conversation over the dinner table of an evening with Dad complaining about some council not giving him the relevant planning permission that he wants.
Yeah, so
we've had lots of those.
Lots of family planning tribulations over the year.
Yeah.
So property was an interest, and we decided in investing in property in 2003.
Yeah.
In a very, looking back now, quite an amateurish way.
Yeah.
We both had some money, so we put a big lump sum into a property. We knew it was the thing we got right was it was a high demand area for rental.
Okay.
So we got that bit right.
And it's also in a very high capital appreciation area as well.
So it's appreciated nicely. We've still got the house today. We bought it in 2003. That was our first one. So we didn't quite get the monetary strategy right, but we got the area right.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you got started.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the thing sometimes, isn't it?
And even now, other than when we've had it refurbed at certain times, when tenants are going in and out, it really hasn't been untenanted.
That's right.
Practically no voids.
No voids, pretty much since 2003.
Yeah, the odd week here and there in between tenants, etc. But we've always tenanted it really quickly.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-bed end terrace.
Yeah.
But it's a nice house.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was
So then you've got the business that you were just saying about. So then how much of your time does that take up? And then when do you fit in the property investment side of things into your normal week?
Well, in 2017.
Yeah, late 17. Yeah.
Late 17, we decided to get some property education.
Okay.
So we joined what was Legacy Education at the time, and signed up for kind of 2 years worth of training, which we kind of rattled through a little bit quicker than that. But yeah, so we did that, and that point we realised that we wanted to upscale the portfolio, and that we would have to make some changes in the trading company and the garage business to allow more time to do that.
Yeah.
So we've kind of restructured everything.
Yeah.
Within the garage business,
which has taken time to do, because you've got people changing roles, bringing other people in. Because I did all the sort of accounts and administration side of it as well, so I've now got somebody in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that for me, but obviously all this, it takes time.
course, yeah.
And probably took longer than we would have liked, but
of course,
yeah, it took
you've got
a
to
while.
make sure it's done properly as well, haven't you? You can't just click the switch and like it all changes. You've got to make sure it's set up properly. So
yeah.
So you went through that whole process of getting other people in to take on some of those responsibilities you were otherwise kind of held to.
Yeah, we had to free up time, and years ago, you know, delegation was never my strong point. I always wanted to micromanage everything.
You did.
And
Controlling.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a nightmare. So, but eventually, I just wound myself into a hole with that. So, learning to delegate took me a long time.
Okay.
A long time, but we got there, and just you know, passing it over to other people.
Yeah.
Was there anything in particular? So when you were learning to delegate, was there anything in particular that helped you to kind of? Was there a spark, or was there a kind of I don't know, like a book or a piece of training or anything that really helped you to understand that actually it's the right thing to do, and this is how I'm going to delegate?
I can't remember where I saw I think it was a quote or a piece of information that I read, that someone said, as the kind of owner manager, if you like, if you see yourself as 10 out of 10 because you feel you're the best person to do that job, if someone else can do it at 8 out of 10, then that's easily good enough, and you have to accept that. And once I took that mindset on board, then I was okay with it. But before then, I was, you know, I wanted to do everything and know everything, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But so that was a big change for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, and it's strange, isn't it? Sometimes it is just hearing something said in a different way, or kind of whatever. It just makes you think. Yeah, like you said, it changes your mindset. You're happy that other people take on responsibility.
And changing my mindset personally, I used to like to be here first in the morning, so I'd get here at like 6 o'clock or whatever, half 6, and then I'd still be here at 6, half 6 in the evening.
Yeah.
So to change that mindset as well, where I can, you know, I don't have to be first in, I can be last. First time getting live.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's another change that I had to make. But
so
we still use our office base at the motor trade business, don't we? So we still use that as our base, and like this is where we sort of both come to.
Yeah.
So you have a presence there, as well as you know.
We're still here.
Yeah.
But it's been a real sliding scale with, you know, the staff coming to us with problems and inquiries and issues has really gone down. I
was just going to ask, actually. Yeah, I was just going to ask, with you being on site, I was going to ask whether or not people just popped in and asked you lots of questions, but that's gradually kind of tapered off.
Yeah, it has. So we just kind of, well, Tina's a little bit more active than I am. But I generally just overview it now and just kind of strategize it, really.
That's good.
Yeah, I probably do about a day a week still.
Yeah.
Overall, so doing bits and pieces in that one, and then the other sort of 4 days, I'm sort of on property, whether that's the sort of sourcing, deal packaging side of things at that business, or the normal portfolio. So it kind of all comes under one.
But it's different roles and kind of responsibilities in the different.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you're saying that training was at 2017, did you say?
Yeah,
we started late 17. Yeah.
So then from there you decided actually we need to kind of change the way we work and things like that. So how long did it take you from making that decision to having the people in place so you could delegate to and start kind of moving away from that kind of more day-to-day running of the business?
Tina took a much longer transition than I did.
I did.
I'd been pushing for a couple of 3 years for us to do other things, as well as, you know, the motor trade company. I was keen for us to expand into other stuff. And I knew she was kind of interested in property, but it took me a long time to to shove her into it. But I think so. The actual conscious decision to do it was quite quick once you got on board.
Yeah. But I would say it took a good 18 months probably to get everything in place, even maybe longer than that. But then you've got to make sure that you've got the right staff doing the right things so that you feel confident to back away.
And in the grand scheme of things, 18 months is nothing. So
no, it's not long.
But understand that's a gradual process as well. So
Yeah.
Felt like a lifetime for me.
I'd go from sort of 5 days, and then it would be 4 days, and then it would. Do you know what I mean? I could split my time differently. So,
cool.
But yeah.
So you mentioned earlier your siblings. So I'm sure that has its benefits, but is there any kind of competition? Does the older sibling always want to make the last decision? You know, how does it work?
He tries and fails.
I'm 5 years older. So.
Okay.
Can you tell?
Well, we don't look it, obviously.
He so does. He so does.
We're lucky that we get on, and B, we have very, very different skills.
We do.
That's perfect.
And that's why it works.
Yeah.
I think if there was too much crossover, we'd struggle. But we do very separate things.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is why it stood the test of time ultimately.
Yeah.
That we're not under each other's feet.
Yeah.
I generally do all the business side and that kind of strategizing and where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and then I kind of almost pass the ideas to Tina, and then she kind of works out all the details. I'm not really a details person. I like the headlines and then work with that.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, that's it now. I've had enough." Tina just sorted it.
And then I just pass it to someone else. Say, just that's what we're doing. Can we do that?
But then I like all the details, so that's it.
Yeah.
So it works well.
Yeah, and it's so important to have those different skills, and some people who are really into the detail and people who are really into kind of the longer term thinking and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you need.
And I think the other thing that we do well is when we do have sort of crosswords as such, we'll kind of say what we've got to say to one another and then forget it. So 2 minutes later, it's like totally normal, and it's like we didn't have those sort of crosswords, because you're going to get that in business. You've got different ideas that you're bringing forward.
Of course, yeah.
So, but we never do that, do we? We never dwell on anything. It's just said our piece, move on.
We generally just discuss it and then decide I was right.
Sorry, he deserved that.
Yeah, and it's that sort of stuff you can get away with your brother and sister.
Exactly. Yeah. You can push the boundaries more when it's family.
Yeah.
Are there other family members involved at all, or is it just you two?
Not now. Dad was involved years ago, but not now. No, he's long since retired. So.
Richard's daughter Heidi and my son Thomas, they've been doing little bits, haven't they, to help us?
Yeah.
Just with getting to grips with some of the sort of technologies, social media.
Yeah.
They're just amazing with it. So we've enlisted them as well.
Yeah, they help a lot now.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'm still in kind of 1996 with technology, so I've only just stopped sending faxes. So.
And is the is the intention for you to hand off responsibilities to them gradually, or are you still going to keep a hold of it?
On the entrepreneurial side, I think probably.
Yeah.
Probably not so much in the motor trade.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not.
It's not their thing, is it?
It's not their thing, and it's quite a challenging industry as an independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's better ways they can spend their time. So on the entrepreneurial side, they're both interested in that anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll encourage them on that, and then they can choose their own path that they want to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good. Cool. Okay. So have you got any projects you're working on at the moment? Property?
I'm sorry.
We've just we're working on a deal that's 5, one freehold that's 5 flats inside.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're just currently working on that deal, which is very local to us, where we are, and ironically just up the road from our first property that we bought.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So we're working on that deal. We're close with that. So yeah, hopefully we can get that over the line. We've been a little bit watchful since lockdown, to be honest.
I was going to ask actually whether or not the coronavirus had any effects on you, but go on.
Yeah, I think the market's been very, very active. Well, it obviously has been very, very active since the lockdown was eased.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of just watching the activity.
Yeah.
My personal feeling is that we're kind of at the top of the hill a little bit. And I think there will be, I don't think it's going to be a market crash by any means, but I think there will be a slight correction.
I think so.
So
Especially with
we've been watching.
Yeah, especially with the furlough scheme kind of winding down and everything. Because there's a lot of people who are being supported by the furlough scheme who will be made redundant, and then the impact of that. And I mean, although the government's the reduction in stamp duty or the stamp duty pause, I mean, that seems to be, I don't know, encouraging people to buy. I mean, I think that's interesting what they're doing, but I can imagine there being a correction, definitely.
I think so. I think the unemployment figures will undoubtedly have, a lot of people unfortunately losing their jobs.
Yeah.
I think that unfortunately will have an impact, especially, and we won't see that until the end of October when the furlough ends. Obviously, it's a sliding scale going down now. So I think there'll be an impact from that, and then we'll see. So I think maybe property-wise, I think coming into next year there'll be, end of this year into next year, there'll be some reductions in the price and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what we're basing our current strategies around. So we've been quite watchful, really. Haven't been really. No. We're doing a lot of work on the business, but not actively buying as we normally would.
Yeah.
So
we've got another buy to let that's just coming to its completion on the refurb as well.
Okay.
So that's been delayed because of COVID. That should have been completed by now, but we just struggled getting materials. It's as if each week there's something new that we can't get.
It's been a bit of it's been a big delay with that one, but it's it's understandable.
Yeah.
So,
I think everyone's struggling, aren't they, to get various things.
Been really struggling to get materials, haven't they? That's what done.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of coming to the end of the refurb. And
fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're just a couple of weeks away from completing that.
Yeah.
So, and we've got our letting agent's got a tenant lined up already. So.
Oh, great! Perfect.
So that's good. So we have been watchful. I think we've used the buy, refurbish, refinance model a lot, and we just think that's a little bit risky at the moment, trying to predict where the prices might be in 6-8 months' time. Hence why we've been just a little bit mindful.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same by you. As soon as the estate agents opened up again, there was a lot of pent up kind of exuberance to get properties moving. And you wonder kind of how strong those investments have been, really, because I don't know. I think there's a lot of just kind of an urgency to buy rather than kind of buy at the right price and stuff. So
I agree.
How that's going to play out.
Yeah, there was like a hype around it. Everyone was frenzied.
Yeah,
hype, wasn't there? Like, oh, got to do it. Everyone else is doing it quick.
I know, ridiculous. But hopefully people don't get burnt. But it's keeping an eye. Cool. Okay.
Hopefully they won't.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So so you were saying, I don't know if it was before we started or not, but you were saying about family business in the building trade and then how you got started. So so that family business in the building trade, then was it a building firm or was it construction, or what sort of thing was it?
It started off as a dry lining plastering company. And then went on to do new builds, buying land, and then building houses on that land.
Yeah.
Was how the company kind of ran. So that was that background. Hence why I was always on building sites and that kind of stuff.
That must have been a great experience as a young person to be able to see that happen.
It was. To be honest, it was meeting all the characters on the sites was kind of probably the most memorable thing, other than me stumbling around as a teenager trying to be helpful, and I was probably more of a hindrance than a help. To be honest.
Definitely, you would have been.
But yeah, meeting some of the characters was very, very memorable. But it was a great experience as a young person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, I think that really ignited the interest in property, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then that ignited your interest. It got you kind of thinking about property. But then your first property you bought, then talk us through that as an investment.
Yeah, we would. we were kind of looking around at kind of pensions and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff at the time, weren't we?
Yeah.
We both got some money to invest. We were looking where to put it, and we both kind of thought, well, you know, pensions weren't doing great by then. And we're kind of being painted as quite a skeptical outlook going forward.
Yeah.
So we thought, yeah, we'll buy a property.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
We did put way too much money into it. If we knew what we knew now, then we probably could have bought 5 properties with the amount of money we chucked into.
Well,
But
we weren't educated at that point.
no,
so
we weren't. We weren't very savvy on different strategies and stuff.
But it's been tenanted. You were saying it's been pretty much tenanted all the way through.
Yeah, it goes to show that as an investor, you must always buy to demand.
Yeah.
Because although we used probably too much of our own money at the time, it stood the test of time because the demand has always been really high in that area.
Yeah.
And I think if you get that bit right, then you generally won't come unstuck.
Yeah. Then the rest of it is just about maximizing the amount of, capital return and stuff like that. So, and, return on capital employed and stuff. So, I mean, so it does make a lot of sense making sure that the demand's there and, rental demand. Yeah. Obviously, if a town's going through a period of kind of investment or something, then you get like the knock on from, house prices go and everything as well. But if you used your knowledge that you have now because of your experience and training, you'd have obviously done a better job, but it got you started and it's been a decent investment by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's good. It's done well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, really well. Yeah, can't complain. It's still probably my favourite property, I would say, really? Just because it's the first one. Yeah.
So
I don't think we'll ever sell it.
No, it'd just be there as a little trophy forever.
It's a forever house.
It's a forever house.
So aside
it's
from
probably
that,
the only one we're sentimental about, isn't it? Really?
I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not emotionally involved with any of the others, that's for sure. So
no. But that one being the first, you just think, I bet lots of property investors think that though, with their first one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. Our first one.
You're not.
It's all right. No, it's good, and it got us going. And it's done. Yeah. It's done well. But yeah. I just think about what I could do with that money.
Yeah.
But yeah. So aside from that one, what other property that you've invested in would be your kind of favourite deal or favourite investment you've done so far, apart from your first one?
Ooh.
I think I kind of liked we bought an office, a disused office, and converted that into residential. I quite enjoyed that one because it was a real kind of dull, boring, unloved office space. Yeah. And then to turn it into a nice family home was kind of, that's the kind of the rewarding side.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's
it was an empty shell when we purchased it. Really, it was an empty shell.
So what type of construction was it then? Was it an old house that had been turned into an office and then you were returning it back to residential, or was it a purpose-built office?
It was an office that was disused above another commercial property. Mm-hmm. It was originally a Ladbrokes, so it was the betting shop downstairs, and then they had offices upstairs.
Fair enough.
And they'd obviously vacated. So we bought the upstairs. So we converted it into a nice apartment. So it's good.
No, that's great. Yeah. No, that does really appeal. Actually, taking something that was a pretty boring, bland shell and doing something with it. That does sound.
I think that's the rewarding part of property investment. Really is having the vision and to be able to take something that needs some TLC and some work, and then create a nice home for someone is a win-win situation.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's one of those things you can see where you've been. A lot of jobs you kind of go in day after day after day, and you can't really tangibly see the your efforts. But with a property, at least you can go in. It was a dump, or it was a bland, bland kind of property, blank canvas. And then by the end of it, you've got this really nice property, like you
Yeah.
say, and you can then rent out to a family. And you can see where you've been. I like that about property. It's really good.
Yeah, I think because it's visual, it is rewarding because you can see the reward.
Yeah. And there's something about property as well, isn't there? We all live in houses. It is, I don't know, there's that side to it as well. It's a little bit more, kind of an emotional kind of, it's a nice thing to be involved in. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. No, it's good.
Okay, cool. So have you got 3 tips to help other people and that you use to invest in property around your business?
From a time perspective?
Efficiency, time, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I think one of the big tips would be morning routine.
Okay.
Getting a good morning routine. I always find doing a journal is very good, like a daily log sort of journal. So in that I have everything in mind. I have sort of everything that's booked for the day, what I've got to get done for the day. I also have all my gratitude, my affirmations, anything I've learned throughout the day, how I've helped other people throughout the day. So it's all there just on sort of 2 pages. And I find that has been a massive help to me. It makes me realise where I'm putting my focus, and then therefore if it's not in the right place, I can adjust it.
Yeah.
So at the end of each week, I'll reflect on that week, and then I look back and I'm thinking, that I'm not really in alignment here with where I'm going. That's not helping me. So I can change it. So I think that's a massive tip for me.
Okay.
For someone. What do you find useful?
As an investor, my biggest piece of advice is know your area.
Yeah.
And know it upside down, back to front, because the more you get to know it, it almost becomes a certain property will work in one street, and then 3 streets away it might not work there.
No.
And that just comes from local, and speaking to people and building up layers of information on your area. And I think that's really key, because as we spoke about earlier, if you buy the right property in the right area, then it will stand the test of time.
Yeah,
and that for me is key. If you get that bit right, generally your investment, I think, will work out.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's something that people kind of forget about sometimes, just that local knowledge, and like you're saying, having those layers of kind of local kind of information and stuff that you can pull upon.
I think people kind of get a bit, not missold, but a bit looking too far ahead of themselves. They think they've got to go and invest in a different area. And sometimes where you live, obviously it's more challenging if you're in the south with the house, with the entry prices. But I think knowing the area where you live, if you live there a while, is really powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't matter what investors you speak to throughout the country, wherever they invest, you do tend to find that it can be street. There's always areas where one street works and one street doesn't, and different strategy can work in a different street from 3 streets down. It is that close, and it doesn't seem to matter where you are in the country. When you talk to people, that's what they say. So you do need to nail down your area.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
and that takes time.
Yeah.
If you don't live there, that takes an awful long time.
Yeah, it's a big commitment if you're investing, away to keep getting in the car and getting up there on the train and getting up there and literally walking the streets is tough.
Yeah, and I think that almost creates a second job for yourself, doing all the legwork and everything. And this is, for a lot of people, this is about kind of reducing those commitments, and then you kind of added in that extra time traveling and learning and speaking to different people. Whereas if you live somewhere, you know it, don't you? Pretty much, you can always improve, but you pretty much know it.
Yeah.
I think when you're starting out in property, you have to realise the first few years are the most time demanding, as in getting to know your area and that kind of thing. You've really got to put the hours in those first couple of years, then to get the rewards later on.
I think initially, you've got to get used to doing, even if it's getting used to doing all the numbers side of it as well. Property ultimately is a numbers game. If you know, you can look at any property, but if the numbers don't stack, you've just got to move on. Whatever you think about it, don't fall in love with it. Move on.
Yeah, don't try.
You know, some people do get emotionally attached,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, the numbers don't work. Move on. So you've got to, there's a lot to learn, and you've got to trust that process. You know, trust how to do your done-up values.
Yeah,
it all takes time.
That's a good tip in its own right, to be honest. Not fudging the numbers to make it fit your, you know, your kind of opinion of it.
You do have to be cold about it. It's just a business deal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find that harder than Rich. I sometimes do get a bit emotionally attached, and he's like, "No, it doesn't work, T. Come on, out the doings and that." He's like, "Okay." Yeah.
And that's that balance again, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, having those two different kind of focuses and skills and stuff. That's good.
But you have got to know the numbers.
Yeah, totally.
That's it.
Cool. Okay. Have you got any business books or property books that you kind of you found really helpful or you go back to?
Yeah, we've got a few, haven't we? Really.
Yeah. Obviously, the classic is Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I think is a must for any investor.
Absolutely.
Just to get the focus right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a must.
Yeah, The Secret as well.
Okay. I've heard people say about that. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, to be honest, I prefer it on Audible, listening to it. I've read it and listened to it, and I really much prefer listening. I found it quite hard when I was reading it, actually. So I'd recommend that, definitely. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing of the, you know, law of attraction and all that stuff, then it, you know, it's a thought-provoking read, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love Think and Grow Rich and all those.
That's another good one.
Kind of classics really are the, you know, if you're starting out, I think they're always the go-to ones. But there's so many.
Split the Difference is very good as well, isn't it?
Split the Difference.
On sort of
what, sales?
Yeah, kind of sales and sort of
negotiating. Never split the difference.
That's it. Never split the difference.
I think I've heard of that one as well.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think a lot of these books as well, like especially Think and Grow Rich and other books, like, have stood the test of time for a reason, haven't they?
Yeah.
I had one recommended to me, which is also by Napoleon Hill, which is Outwitting the Devil. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing it off now. That's really good. It's a bit nuts, but it's very good. It's really it's an interesting read. Yeah,
Napoleon Hill is an interesting story to follow.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay. Do you use any software or tools in your business, especially the property side of it as much as anything, to help you evaluate deals or find deals, that sort of thing?
From that angle, to be fair, we are quite old school, aren't we? And we do just use spreadsheets, just Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, we've got our own kind of spreadsheet set up.
Yeah. Which I've kind of put together, haven't I?
Yeah, we've kind of taken other people's, particularly from the trainings and stuff, really, and then kind of modified them into what we wanted them to be. So we'll run any of our deals through those to look where the numbers run. So that's a little bit old school.
Yeah.
It works.
But it works for us. Yeah. Marketing wise, we use Canva.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think that's another fairly consistent one that people use.
Yeah, it's great.
Really good.
You can spend hours though, like messing about on Canva. You kind of get sucked in.
Yeah, you can spend a day on there if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I use it. I like it. I really like it. But I hate spending time on stuff. So I kind of, if it takes too long, I've become uninterested. So I kind of use the same few formats that again and again, because I don't like going down into the rabbit hole with stuff like that.
Yeah, that's like me.
Yeah.
it's got to make sense quickly, or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool, lovely. So this one, I don't know if this will be, I don't know if this will work for you guys, because you've kind of been in the same business for a long while, but this is kind of a challenger round, as I'm calling it. And it's basically, I'm convinced that I've probably had some of the worst jobs out of the people I'll speak to on my podcast, because I was a musician for a while, so you kind of do kind of temp jobs between doing other bits and pieces.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a challenge to you. What is the worst job you've ever had?
For me, I was lucky because when I was employed, I was doing something that I loved, which was cooking. So I never really had a worse job on that. But what I did have was a horrendous paper round, a very dangerous paper round, cycling up and down the A5 when I was young.
Did you have any misses?
Yeah, for whatever pittance I earned. The amount of times I nearly got run over by a truck.
So I tried really hard.
Yeah. So that, yeah, it was only part-time when I was a kid, but that was definitely the worst job I ever had.
Okay, cool.
It's certainly the most dangerous.
You see, for me, I can't really answer that because I trained to be an accountant.
Okay.
And straight from sort of finishing that, I came to work in the business with Rich. I really have only...
I thought that might be the answer. I thought that might be the answer for one of you about going straight into something like this.
So to me, I've only ever really been my own sort of boss, as it were. So I've only ever worked for myself. So
I'm your boss.
Oh, shit.
So I have a combined sense of winning and losing all at once.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh. See what I have to work with every day?
Shocking.
Really?
Honestly, it's terrible, isn't it?
Rubbish.
Okay, cool. So the next question is, if you could speak to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give them?
For me, I would say stop being so fearful and take the action that you need to take.
Okay. Do you think you'd have listened?
No.
Yeah.
No. Probably not, but yeah.
That's what you'd say, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine would be similar. I think trust your own judgment.
Yeah.
Trust your gut feeling. Back yourself and take massive action.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
But having that's easy to say, not always easy to do. Even now, when you're older, you know, it's easy to have these ideas and thoughts, but if you can't follow it through with action, then they don't really mean anything. So, yeah, easy to say, but not always easy to apply it to yourself.
Yeah.
Fear can be crippling. You know, it can stop you doing so much. That fear of getting out your comfort zone, just to keep moving you forward. It's hard to keep doing it because just when you've done it once and you've moved a little bit forward, you've got to then do it again because to keep growing, that's what you need to do, and that is a hard skill.
I think once you learn that backing away from it is the worst thing, and actually going towards it is the best way to conquer it, and become familiar with it, then I think once you grasp that, then I think you're on the right line.
Yeah.
No, I think
what I do with fear now, I have like a little mantra. So I always say that fear stands for future events that aren't real.
Okay. Yeah.
FEAR. So if ever I feel, or I know I've got to do something and get out my comfort zone and I'm getting a bit, oh gosh, can I do it? And having a moment, which we all do, that's what I'll just keep saying to myself in my head. It's future events that aren't real. So I just push through it.
I think that's really good.
Failing that, Richard just tells me.
I think as well, there is something about when you're taking action, it's sometimes about, for me, it's sometimes about remembering, like, I really didn't want to do that thing, but I did it and it was okay. This is different, but it's kind of in a similar sort of line, and reminding yourself you can. And
also, once you've done it, you feel amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's very self-rewarding. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. That's really good advice. Yeah, and that's something that people need to hear, really, I suppose, because once you get to the other side of it, it does feel brilliant, doesn't it?
Because property, if you're in it, is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's even within an hour, you can have, it's ridiculous. Things go right, things go wrong. There's problems to solve. I call myself a solution provider because that's what you do. You provide solutions all day, every day.
I think that's an important point with mindset. I think you have to accept that there are going to be issues. Things don't run smoothly. So if you kind of almost expect the problems, then they're not big issues when they arrive. Whereas if you think everything is going to be fine and dandy, then when you get an issue, it's a bigger issue.
Really not.
So I think if you know there's going to be obstacles in the way, that's fine. You just work out the solution and move on.
And they can be at any point, at any stage. It can be during the refurb, there's things that you uncover that you didn't know about. Again, you can't get materials, so then you might have to get more expensive materials. It's getting the tradesmen to do what they say they're actually going to do on time. There's all that, but then you can have issues on the refinance side of things. They want loads of information, and it can seem quite draining, but you've just got to keep at it.
You think about all the things we have to do as investors. We have to know our markets. We have to know a bit about economics, about kind of political will, about the building process, about the refurb process. All the different legislative things that the hoops we need to jump through. There's so many different elements.
You have to have lots of hats.
Definitely.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. You do. But it's good fun, and it keeps it challenging, and it keeps it different. So I love it. I mean, I know lots of people don't really like dealing with the build teams and that kind of thing. I love it.
That's good.
I love it. Don't I? I always do that side. I love it. I think it's great. I love it. Maybe that's just because I'm bossy.
Might be something to do with it.
But I think it's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
So you just got to.
And I think it's about if you do like that, and it's something you enjoy. It's about kind of having you doing a lot of that, and then Richard, you doing other things that you're kind of more kind of into, and you can really focus on. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's a really tricky one sometimes, having that change of gear all the time, going from one thing to another, and looking at other projects while you're doing something else, and just switching gear all the time is a bit of a challenge.
It is to make sure you remember, but this is where my journal will come in, because I'm always making notes and writing, and that way nothing will get forgotten, or hopefully nothing will get forgotten, because you do have to keep changing
systems
where you're at.
Systems are quite key, especially if you've got multiple businesses. Then and everyone knowing their own role as well, and what they're responsible for is very important. So that things don't get forgotten and left when they need to be done. But having your own system, and then making sure everyone's clear on their instructions and everything within your team is really important.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
Especially if you've got multiple projects on as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything to help you with your systems? Any kind of software or anything like that?
No, again, we tend to do, we're quite old school again, and I am the spreadsheet queen. I might want to point that out. So if I can do a spreadsheet, I'm doing a spreadsheet.
Fair enough. So it's all.
They work for you, and for
they
work.
Google Docs is good, isn't it? Because you can share
Google
stuff.
Docs,
you can put stuff in there, and you can both access it. That kind of thing is great. But no,
I'm a big fan.
To be fair, I have started to look at Trello as well. We have started doing a few boards on there. So whether or not going forward, we'll be using that more. I'm still.
Yeah, we probably will go into something like that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's quite helpful. We use Trello.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's
good. But then I also have spreadsheets, and I also use Google Drive and Docs and stuff like that. So it helps, but it doesn't replace. I think for me anyway. But it's quite helpful. It's very visual. It's a very visual.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's fair for me. So I've got to go towards it. Technology.
It's one of those things as well. I think it's like any piece of software. You can go so deep into these things, can't you?
Yeah.
Whereas you probably don't need to, for starters, just kind of.
No.
There's loads of like with everything now. There's loads of videos on YouTube and stuff like that about how to use it and stuff. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, everything's on YouTube, isn't it?
Everything.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. That's great.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
The amount of times I've wanted to do something in the house or one of the properties, you know, like a little bit of like a repair job or something like that. Just, you know, get on my phone, get it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Get it up on Google.
Yeah, watch the video tutorial in this hand while you're trying to do it in this hand.
Yeah, Google and YouTube, where would we be with that?
I know.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's easy to forget as well that you know, it's a very new thing, isn't it? And we're so lucky to be able to access all this information now. And people spend the time to do these little videos and post things on Google.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah,
that's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I would love to see what you kind of get up to in maybe a year or two's time if you fancy coming back on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to.
Definitely.
But how do other people kind of, how would they find you on the internet and get in touch if that's something you'd like?
We're on Facebook and Instagram as Star Property Group.
We are.
Which is our holding company. So yeah, we're on that. Yeah. So if anyone wants to search us on Insta or Facebook, connect, and we'll get in touch.
Great. Yeah. I'll make sure the links are on the notes so that people will be able to find you. That's great.
Great stuff.
Fabulous.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. That's great.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right then.
Have a good day.
And you. Bye.
Bye then. See ya. Bye. So there you have it. That's the interview with Tina and Richard from the Star Property Group. A really experienced couple of siblings working together. So that's me for this week. I'm just going to go off and try and edit this thing together. But for now, I hope you have a great week and I'll see you again next time.